The icy Ottawa rain stabbed my face, soaking the medical report in my trembling fist, my wife's death warrant, cancer carved in cold ink. I screamed for my kids, my own blood, to save their dying mother. "Help her!" I roared, voice shattering like glass. But they laughed, their eyes dead, glued to their glittering phones. "Your problem, Dad." They spat, their voices dripping venom, cozy in their penthouse towers. I fought for Canada, bled in Kandahar's dust, carried scars that still scream at night. And now? My kids betrayed us, left her to rot while they danced at parties, their lives a mockery of our pain. The knife of their betrayal twists deeper than any bullet I took. This isn't just grief, it's a wound that'll never heal. I'm James Bennett. I'm 58 years old, and I'll burn their world to ashes for what they've done. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from, whether it's somewhere beautiful in Canada or anywhere else in this amazing world. The Ottawa wind howled, cutting through my old army coat as I stood outside Liam's sleek condo tower downtown. 20 stories of glass and steel, a world away from our modest bungalow in Orleans, where Margaret lay dying. Her diagnosis, lung cancer, stage 4, hit like a roadside bomb from my Kandahar days. Treatment could buy her months, but it cost 200,000 CAD we didn't have. I'd fought for this country, carried shrapnel scars and sleepless nights from PTSD, all to give my kids, Liam and Sophie, a better life. I paid for their university, 50,000 CAD each. I worked double shifts at the factory to buy Liam's first car, a used Ford, and drove 30 kilometers through blizzards to get Sophie to her dance recitals. Now, I needed them. I buzzed Liam's intercom, my voice hoarse. "It's Dad. We need to talk about Mom." His reply crackled, cold as ice. "Busy, Dad. Come back later." I pushed inside anyway, the lobby's marble gleaming under my muddy boots. Upstairs, Liam lounged in his designer suit, sipping whiskey. Sophie scrolled her phone, her nails clicking. "Mom's dying," I said, the medical report shaking in my hand. "We need your help," Liam smirked. "Not my circus, Dad." Sophie didn't even look up. "Figure it out," she muttered. Their words were shrapnel, tearing through my chest. I'd given them everything, and they gave me nothing but scorn. The elevator doors slid open, and I stepped into Liam's penthouse, the air thick with the scent of leather and expensive cologne. Ottawa's skyline sparkled through floor-to-ceiling windows, a glittering lie that mocked the crumbling world I carried in my hands. The medical report, its edges worn from my grip, felt heavier than the rifle I'd hauled through Kandahar's sands. Liam sprawled on a velvet sofa, his tailored suit pristine, a glass of whiskey glinting in his hand. Sophie perched nearby, her designer heels tapping, eyes locked on her phone's glowing screen. The room screamed wealth marble counters, abstract art worth thousands of CAD, but it felt colder than the February winds howling outside. I stood there, a relic in my faded army coat, my boots leaving faint smears of Ottawa's slush on their polished floor. "Margaret's dying," I said, my voice raw, barely above a whisper. "Lung cancer. Stage 4. We need 200,000 CAD for treatment. Please help us." Liam didn't even look up. He swirled his whiskey, the ice clinking like a taunt. "Not my circus, Dad," he said, his voice smooth, practiced, the tone of a man who'd closed million-dollar deals without blinking. "You and Mom always figure it out, don't you?" My chest tightened, the air sucked out of me. I turned to Sophie, her fingers still dancing across her phone, posting another selfie to her thousands of followers. "Sophie, say something," I begged, stepping closer, the report trembling in my hand. She glanced up, her eyes sharp, impatient. "Figure it out, Dad," she snapped, her voice cutting like a blade. "I've got my own bills. You think I can just drop everything?" Her gold bracelet caught the light, a 5,000 CAD trinket I'd paid for with overtime shifts at the factory, back when I thought it'd make her smile. I dropped the report on their glass coffee table, its thud echoing in the sterile silence. "I gave you everything," I said, my voice rising, cracking like ice under boots. "I worked nights to pay for your university, Liam 50,000 CAD for your business degree. Sophie, I drove 30 kilometers through blizzards for your dance recitals, sold my old truck to buy your first camera for those damn videos." My hands shook, the scars on my knuckles shrapnel from a roadside bomb stinging as I clenched my fists. Your mother cheered at every game, every show, even when she was coughing up blood. And now, you won't lift a finger? Liam stood, towering over me, his face a mask of indifference. "You chose to play the hero, Dad. Don't guilt us into your mess." Sophie nodded, her eyes flicking back to her phone, dismissing me like I was nothing. The room spun, their words a barrage tearing through me. I saw Margaret's face, pale and hopeful in our Orleans bungalow, trusting me to save her. I'd faced death in Afghanistan, woken up screaming from PTSD nightmares, but nothing cut deeper than this betrayal. "She'd die for you," I said, my voice low, dangerous. "She still would." Liam laughed, a cold, hollow sound. "Then maybe she should have saved her money instead of spoiling us." Sophie's fingers froze on her phone, but she said nothing, her silence louder than any insult. I grabbed the report, its paper crumpling further in my grip, and moved toward the door. My boots thudded on their hardwood floor, each step heavier than the last. "You'll regret this," I said, my voice barely a growl, the words burning in my throat. Liam shrugged, already turning away. "Good luck, old man." The elevator ride down felt like a descent into hell. Ottawa's lights blurred through the rain-streaked windows, mirroring the storm in my chest. I'd given them my life's sleepless nights, missed anniversaries with Margaret, 20 years of factory grime to build their futures. And now, with Margaret's life hanging by a thread, they'd left us to drown. My fingers tightened around the report, its ink smudged from the rain, a fragile testament to the family I thought we had. Back in our bungalow, Margaret slept, her breathing shallow, unaware of the knife her children had driven into us. I stood in the dim hallway, staring at my old army medals on the wall, valor, sacrifice, duty, words that meant nothing to Liam and Sophie. But they'd learn. The pain they dealt would come back to them, sharper, colder, like the Ottawa winter that froze my bones. I wasn't just a father anymore. I was a soldier again, and this was my war. The Ottawa night pressed against my old pickup's windows, the engine's hum drowned by the storm in my chest. I drove the 10 kilometers back to our Orleans bungalow, Liam and Sophie's words, "Not my circus, Dad. Figure it out," cutting deeper than any shrapnel from Kandahar. Margaret's diagnosis burned in my mind. Lung cancer, stage 4. A 200,000 CAD treatment we couldn't afford. I'd sold my soul to the factory, worked 60-hour weeks to give my kids everything, but they'd left us to drown. At home, the porch light flickered, casting shadows on Margaret's quilt draped over the couch. I crept to her bedroom, her breathing a fragile whisper in the dark. "We'll fight this," I murmured, knowing it was a lie. Her wedding ring glinted on her thin finger, a promise I was failing. I sank into the kitchen chair. The medical report crumpled beside my army medals, their shine mocking my helplessness. I dialed the bank at midnight, my voice steady despite the ache. "I need a loan," I said, gripping the phone. The clerk's questions droned. Income, assets, collateral. I had nothing but our savings, 30,000 CAD scraped over decades, and the pickup, a beat-up Chevy from my army days. It's reliable, I told the dealer later, ignoring the pang as I signed it away for 5,000 CAD. Every cent went to Margaret's treatment, but it wasn't enough. I called insurers, pleaded with hospitals, my voice hoarse from nights of begging. "Please, just a few more months," I said to a nurse, her eyes kind but helpless. Margaret grew weaker, her smiles fading like Ottawa's winter sun. I held her hand, telling stories of our first date at the Rideau Canal, skating under starlight. "Remember that, love?" I whispered. She nodded, her grip faint, trusting me to save her. Then came the blow that broke me. Scrolling my phone one night, desperate for distraction, I saw Sophie's Instagram. A glittering party in Toronto, 400 kilometers away Champagne, sequin dresses, her laugh frozen in a video loop. Posted the same hour Margaret's oxygen levels dropped. Liam was there too, tagged in a photo, grinning with a cigar, his suit worth more than our mortgage. They knew their mother was dying, yet they danced while her life slipped away. My phone hit the floor, the screen cracking. "How could you?" I roared into the empty kitchen, my voice echoing off the walls. The betrayal wasn't just a wound, it was a gutting, leaving me hollow. I couldn't tell Margaret. She didn't need more pain. Days blurred into hospital visits, the sterile halls reeking of antiseptic. Margaret lay in a narrow bed, her face pale, eyes still warm when she saw me. "You're fighting too hard, James," she said, her voice a thread. "I'm fine," I lied, forcing a grin, my hand clutching hers. The doctor pulled me aside, his words blunt. "A month, maybe less. The treatment's not enough." I paid every cent I'd scraped, 35,000 CAD, but it was like pouring water into a sieve. One night the monitor's beep slowed. Margaret's breathing faltered, her ring cold against my skin. "Stay with me," I whispered, tears burning my eyes. But she didn't hear. The flatline's drone filled the room, a sound sharper than any gunshot I'd faced. She was gone. I sat there, numb, her hand still in mine, the hospital clock ticking 2:14 a.m. The funeral was at Beechwood Cemetery, Ottawa's snow piling on Margaret's casket. I stood alone, my coat soaked, the priest's voice lost in the wind. The chairs for family, Liam. Sophie sat empty, their absence a final betrayal. They hadn't called, hadn't texted, hadn't cared. The gravedigger's shovel scraped the frozen earth, each thud a nail in my heart. I saw Margaret's face, her laugh at our kids' school plays, her pride when Liam graduated, her tears at Sophie's dance recitals. She'd given them everything, and they gave her nothing, not even goodbye. My fingers closed around her ring, now in my pocket, its weight a vow. The snow stung my face, but the rage burned hotter. Liam and Sophie would feel this pain, every ounce of it. I wasn't just grieving, I was done begging. The soldier in me woke, and this war was just beginning. The Orleans bungalow was a tomb of silence, its walls heavy with Margaret's absence. I sat at the kitchen table, the clock ticking past midnight, my old army medals glinting under the dim bulb. Her wedding ring burned in my pocket, a cold weight against my thigh, whispering her final moments in that hospital bed. Liam and Sophie's betrayal partying in Toronto while their mother's heart stopped lit a fire in me hotter than any Kandahar blast. I wasn't the broken man who'd begged them for help. I was a soldier again, and soldiers don't grieve, they fight. My fingers traced the scars on my knuckles, reminders of battles won. This time, I'd wage war on my own blood, not with bullets, but with the precision of a sniper. They'd feel the pain they dealt, every jagged shard of it. I pulled out my phone, its cracked screen a mirror of my fractured life. My thumb hovered over a name, Michael Turner, a lawyer I'd known since my army days. now a sharp-eyed litigator in Ottawa's Byward Market. We'd shared beers at the Royal Oak pub, swapping stories of trenches and courtrooms. "James, you sound like hell," Michael said when he picked up, his voice gravelly through the line. "I need dirt," I replied, my tone flat, unyielding. "Liam's real estate deal something's off, and Sophie's drowning in debt. I want to know everything." Michael paused, then chuckled darkly. "You're not messing around, are you? Meet me tomorrow, 0900, my office." I hung up, the click sharp in the quiet house, a trigger pulled. By morning, I was in Michael's cramped office, the air thick with coffee and old paper. Ottawa's skyline loomed through a narrow window, gray clouds rolling in. Michael slid a folder across his desk, its pages marked with post-its. "Liam's been cutting corners," he said, tapping a document. "Off-book deals with developers, skimming profits. The Ontario Real Estate Board would eat him alive if they got a tip." My pulse quickened, but I kept my face stone cold. "And Sophie?" I asked, leaning forward. Michael smirked. "Credit card debt. 50,000 CAD, maybe more. She's been dodging payments, living a lie on Instagram. One anonymous letter to her creditors, and she's done." I nodded, my mind racing like it did before a mission, plotting every move. "Can you make it happen?" I asked. "Discreetly?" Michael's eyes narrowed. "Give me 48 hours. Back home, I dug out an old laptop, its keys sticky from disuse. The glow of the screen cast shadows across the kitchen, illuminating Margaret's quilt on the couch. I typed an email to the Ontario Real Estate Board, my fingers steady. "Investigate Liam Bennett's transactions. Check his accounts for discrepancies. No signature, no trace, just a ghost in the system." Next, I drafted a letter to Sophie's creditors, detailing her missed payments, her 5,000 CAD handbags, her rented glamour. "She's insolvent," I wrote, my pen scratching like a blade. I sealed the envelope, my hands calm, but my heart thundered. This wasn't rage, it was control, cold and calculated, like planning an ambush in the desert. I drove to a postbox 2 kilometers away, the Ottawa streets slick with sleet. The letter dropped with a hollow thud, a grenade pin pulled. Back in the bungalow, I opened a drawer, pulling out a photo of Margaret and me at the Rideau Canal, her smile brighter than the winter ice. "This is for you," I whispered, my voice breaking. Liam and Sophie thought they could bury us in their indifference, but I'd turned their world to ash. My PTSD nightmares, explosions, screams had taught me one thing: survive, then strike. I checked the laptop again, an anonymous email account blinking with a confirmation. "Received. Under review." A spark lit in my chest, not joy, but purpose. The war had begun, and I was ready to watch them fall. The Ottawa dawn broke gray, its light slicing through the blinds of my Orleans bungalow. Margaret's ring pressed against my thigh, a cold reminder of the vow I'd made at her grave. My laptop hummed on the kitchen table, the anonymous email account glowing with a reply from the Ontario Real Estate Board. Investigation launched. Liam Bennett's accounts under review. A grim smile tugged at my lips, sharp as a bayonet. Sophie's creditors had responded too, their letter curt. Legal action initiated. My plan, set in motion like a sniper's bullet, was hitting its mark. Liam's empire of glass and greed was cracking, and Sophie's fake glamour was unraveling. They'd left their mother to die in a hospital bed 15 kilometers away, partied while her heart stopped. Now, their world would burn, and I was the one holding the match. I drove to Byward Market, the 5-kilometer trip a blur of sleet and rage. Michael's office was a mess of files and coffee cups, but his grin was sharp when he saw me. "You've got them, James," he said, tossing a newspaper onto the desk. The headline screamed, Ottawa developer faces financial probe. Liam's name was inked in bold, his polished headshot now a badge of shame. He lost a $2 million CAD contract yesterday, Michael added, leaning back. Clients are bailing. He's panicking. I nodded, my fingers tracing Margaret's ring in my pocket. And Sophie? I asked, my voice low, steady. Michael slid a tablet across, open to her Instagram. Comments flooded her latest post-designer shoes, a fake smile with venom. Pay your debts, princess. Fraud. Her followers, once 50,000 strong, were turning on her. I felt no pity, only a cold satisfaction, like the calm before a kill shot. That evening, my phone buzzed as I sat in the bungalow's dim living room, Margaret's quilt heavy on my shoulders. Liam's name flashed on the screen, a jolt through my vein. I answered, my silence a weapon. Dad, he stammered, his voice stripped of its usual swagger. The board's auditing me. I could lose everything. Help me. His desperation was raw, but it didn't touch me. You helped yourself in Toronto, I said, my tone ice cold, while your mother died alone. He choked, a sound like a wounded animal. I didn't mean please, Dad, I need you. I hung up, the click louder than a gunshot. Minutes later, Sophie's text lit up my phone. Dad, they're taking my car, my apartment. I'm sorry, okay? Sorry. The word was ash in my mouth, too late to mean anything. I stood on the porch, the Ottawa wind biting my face, when their car pulled up. Liam's suit was wrinkled, his eyes bloodshot. Sophie's makeup was smudged, her designer coat askew. They looked like ghosts of their former selves, stripped of their arrogance. Dad, Liam started, his voice cracking. We messed up. We should have helped Mom. Please, stop this. Sophie stepped forward, tears streaking her face. I can't lose everything, Dad. We're family. Family. The word was a knife, twisting in the wound they'd carved. I saw Margaret's empty hospital room, the snow piling on her casket, the chairs they'd left bare at Beechwood Cemetery. You chose your family, I said, my voice a low growl. When you left her to die, Sophie sobbed, reaching for me. But I stepped back, the door frame hard against my shoulder. You made your beds, I said, my eyes locked on theirs, unyielding. Lie in them. I shut the door, their muffled pleas fading into the night. The bungalow's silence swallowed me, but my pulse thundered like artillery fire. Margaret's ring burned in my pocket, her memory fueling every step of this war. Liam's firm was crumbling, Sophie's facade shattered, and I'd orchestrated it all. But this was only the first strike. They thought they'd seen pain, but I wasn't done. The soldier in me, forged in Kandahar's chaos, knew how to tighten the noose. I walked to the kitchen, opened the laptop, and checked the news. Another headline. Bennett Developments faces client exodus. My fingers tightened around Margaret's ring, its curve a promise. They'd feel her absence, her betrayal, in every ruin I left behind. The Ottawa sky churned with storm clouds, mirroring the tempest in my veins as I sat in a dimly lit cafe in Byward Market, the clatter of cups a faint echo against my thoughts. Margaret's ring burned in my pocket, a silent scream of her final days, abandoned by Liam and Sophie. My laptop glowed with a breaking news alert. Ottawa developer Liam Bennett arrested for financial fraud. The words hit like a mortar blast, my pulse spiking as I read. The Ontario Real Estate Board's investigation, sparked by my anonymous tip, had uncovered 3 million CAD in illicit deals. Liam's empire built on lies was rubble now, his name plastered across every news outlet in Canada. Sophie's world was collapsing too, her Instagram a battlefield of hate. with creditors seizing her 50,000 CAD debt and her followers mocking her downfall. I'd pulled the trigger, and the fallout was glorious, but a shadow gnawed at me. Was this justice, or had I become the monster? My phone buzzed, Michael's name flashing. "You see the news?" he asked, his voice low, excited. "Liam's in cuffs. Sophie's a pariah. You did this, James." I leaned back, the cafe's wooden chair creaking, my fingers tracing the scars from Kandahar shrapnel. "It's not enough," I said, my voice a low growl. "They need to feel her absence like I do." Michael paused, then said, "Careful, old friend. You're winning, but this could bite you back." I hung up, the warning echoing but drowned by the fire in my chest. I opened Sophie's latest post, a desperate plea for sympathy. "You don't know the whole story," she wrote, pinning the blame on me. "My father destroyed us." The words were a slap, but they only sharpened my resolve. She'd called me a destroyer? I'd show her destruction. That night, the news shifted. A local Ottawa station ran a segment, "Former soldier accused of sabotaging family." Sophie's post had gone viral, painting me as a vengeful tyrant. My phone lit up with texts from old army buddies, some supportive, others questioning. "You sure about this, James?" one read, from a comrade in Petawawa, 150 kilometers away. The community was divided, former soldiers at the Ottawa Legion backing my pain, but other strangers on social media called me heartless, a father who'd crushed his kids. I stood in my bungalow's living room, Margaret's quilt heavy on the couch, her absence a void that swallowed the room. My PTSD nightmares flashed explosions, screams, but now they mixed with Sophie's words, accusing me. Had I gone too far? The ring in my pocket pressed harder, Margaret's voice whispering, "Take care of them." I shook it off, my jaw tight. They'd chosen this path when they left her to die. The next morning, I drove 5 kilometers to a park near the Rideau Canal, needing air to clear the doubt. The winter wind stung, but I sat on a bench, the ice-crusted canal reflecting my fractured thoughts. A radio blared from a nearby vendor. "Bennett case escalates. Fraud charges confirmed." Liam's mugshot flashed on my phone, his eyes hollow, his suit replaced by a jail jumpsuit. Sophie's latest post showed her selling her designer bags, her face tear-streaked, her 100,000 CAD condo at risk. I should have felt triumph, but a crack formed in my resolve. I saw Margaret smile, her hand on Liam's shoulder at his graduation, her pride in Sophie's dance recitals. Would she want this? My hand trembled around her ring, the metal cold as the truth I couldn't escape. Then my phone rang. Liam, calling from a detention center. "Dad," he whispered, his voice broken. "I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please, stop this." Sophie's voice cut in. A conference call, her sobs raw. "We didn't mean to hurt Mom. We're begging you." Their pleas were daggers, but I saw the empty chairs at Margaret's funeral, the snow on her casket. "You begged for nothing when she needed you," I said, my voice steady, cutting. "You're paying now." I hung up, the silence deafening, my heart a battlefield of rage and doubt. The canal's ice gleamed, a mirror of my fractured soul. I'd torn their lives apart, but the war wasn't over. The courtroom loomed, and I'd make sure they faced every consequence. The Ottawa courtroom smelled of polished oak and tension, its high ceiling looming like a judgment from above. I sat on the hard bench, Margaret's ring a searing weight in my pocket, her absence a ghost beside me. Across the aisle, Liam and Sophie slumped, shadows of their former selves. Liam's suit hung loose, his face gaunt from jail. Sophie's eyes were red, her designer scarf a crumpled lie. My lawsuit papers, heavy in my hand, detailed every dollar I'd poured into their lives, 100,000 CAD for their university degrees, 20,000 CAD for Liam's first car, 50,000 CAD for Sophie's lavish wedding in Gatineau. Now, I'd take it all back, along with their pride. The gavel's echo cut through the room, sharp as a gunshot from my Kandahar days. The judge, a stern woman with gray hair, read the claim, James Bennett seeks repayment of 400,000 CAD from Liam and Sophie Bennett for financial support rendered. Murmurs rippled through the gallery, eyes boring into me. Michael stood beside me, his tie crisp, his voice steady as he laid out the case. Bank statements, receipts, my years of factory overtime all spread bare like wounds. My client gave everything, he said, and they gave nothing when his wife, their mother, faced death. Liam's lawyer, a slick man in a 3,000 CAD suit, argued back, his voice oily. My clients have no means to pay. This is a father's vendetta, not justice. Sophie's head dropped, her hands twisting a tissue. Liam's fists clenched, his knuckles white. I felt their stares, but I didn't flinch. My eyes locked on the judge, my spine straight like I was facing a firing squad. When called to speak, I rose, the courtroom air thick, my voice steady despite the storm inside. This isn't about money, I said, holding up the papers, my scars catching the light. It's about what they threw away. Margaret died alone in a hospital 15 kilometers from here because they wouldn't help. I begged them 100,000 CAD each for their futures, cars, weddings, and they called it my problem. My voice cracked, but I pushed on. They partied in Toronto while her heart stopped. They didn't come to her funeral, didn't spare a tear. I sent the tip about Liam's fraud. I alerted Sophie's creditors. I made their lives crumble because they betrayed her. Gasps echoed, the gallery buzzing like a hive. Liam lurched forward, shouting, "You ruined us, Dad!" Sophie sobbed, her voice breaking. "We were wrong, okay? Stop this." The judge's gavel slammed, silencing the room. My heart pounded, Margaret's ring a pulse against my thigh. I saw her face, pale in that hospital bed, trusting me to fight for her. "You betrayed us both," I said, my voice a blade, cutting through their cries. "You left her to die. Now you pay." The judge's eyes narrowed, her pen scratching notes. Michael leaned in, whispering, "You've got them, James. Stay sharp." The evidence was ironclad, my sacrifices, their indifference, Liam's 3 million CAD fraud, Sophie's 50,000 CAD debt. The judge ruled, repayment ordered, with interest, 425,000 CAD. Liam's face crumpled, his shoulders shaking. Sophie buried her eyes in her hands, her sobs muffled. The gavel cracked again, final, like the snap of a breaking bone. I walked out, the courtroom's oak doors swinging shut behind me. Ottawa's winter air bit my face, the Rideau Canal's ice glinting in the distance. I'd won, but the victory was hollow, a cold weight like the snow piling on Margaret's grave at Beechwood Cemetery. Liam's empire was dust, Sophie's facade was ash. I'd torn them down, just as they'd torn us apart. But as I stepped onto the street, a shadow lingered. The community's whispers, former soldiers at the Ottawa Legion calling me a hero, strangers online branding me a monster echoed in my mind. Margaret's voice haunted me. Take care of them. Had I honored her or betrayed her too? The ring pressed harder, its curve a question I couldn't answer. The courthouse loomed behind me, its shadow long, pulling me toward the final reckoning at her grave. The Ottawa dusk painted the sky in shades of bruised purple, its chill seeping through my old army coat as I stood before Margaret's grave in Beechwood Cemetery. The granite headstone bore her name, etched deep, a wound in stone that mirrored the one in my chest. Her wedding ring, warm from my pocket, glinted as I placed it gently on the cold surface. "It's done, Margaret," I whispered, my voice low, trembling, the words swallowed by the winter wind. Liam and Sophie's worlds were Ash Liam in jail, his 3 million CAD empire gone. Sophie stripped of her 100,000 CAD condo, her Instagram a graveyard of lost followers. The courtroom's gavel, sharp as a Kandahar gunshot, had sealed their fate. 425,000 CAD owed to me, every cent I'd poured into their lives. I'd won. But the victory was a hollow echo, like the silence of our Orleans bungalow without Margaret's laugh. I knelt, the snow crunching under my knees, my fingers brushing the headstone's edge. The memory of her smile at our Rideau Canal skate nights, at Liam's graduation, at Sophie's dance recitals cut deeper than their betrayal. I saw her in that hospital bed, 15 kilometers from here, her hand cold, trusting me to the end. "Take care of them," she'd said, her voice a fading thread. Had I honored her, or had I become the monster Sophie's viral post claimed? The Ottawa Legion had called me a hero, former soldiers nodding over beers, understanding a soldier's fight for justice. But the online mob, strangers 500 kilometers away in Toronto, branded me cruel, a father who'd shattered his kids. The doubt gnawed, a shrapnel splinter lodged in my soul. My PTSD nightmares, explosions, screams now carried their faces, Liam's broken pleas, Sophie's sobs. I stood, the cemetery's iron gates creaking in the distance, their sound a call to let go. Margaret's ring stayed on the stone, a promise fulfilled, a weight lifted. I'd fought for her, torn down their lies, but the war had cost me too. Back at the bungalow, I cleared the kitchen table, tucking away the lawsuit papers, the cracked screen phone, the photo of us at the canal. The house felt lighter, not whole, but no longer a tomb. I dialed an old army buddy in Petawawa, 150 kilometers west. "Fancy a fishing trip on the Ottawa River?" I asked, my voice steady, a spark of something new flickering inside. He laughed, surprised. "You serious, James? Been years." I was. The soldier in me had fought. The man in me needed to live again. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about loyalty. Family isn't just blood. It's the ones who stand by you when the world collapses. Margaret deserved that, and I'd failed her once, but never again. If you're listening, hold your loved ones close. Don't let them fight alone. If this story touched you, please like, comment, and subscribe to Maple Revenge. Share what you'd do in my place. Your words mean more than you know.